Welcome to the LearnXYZ channel. Today we're going to be diving deep into the world of robotics. You guys have sent us some seriously cool articles and resources from LearnXYZ-In, including a piece titled Exploring the World of Robotics Advancements, Applications, and the Future.
Yeah, it's a fascinating field, really. Where engineering meets AI, meets computer science, all coming together to create these machines that can do things we once thought were, only possible for humans.
It's mind-blowing, for sure. So, to kick things off, why don't we take a little journey through the history of robotics? I bet some people would be surprised to know that the whole concept of robots, that goes back centuries, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Way back then, inventors, they were already fascinated by the idea of machines that could mimic human actions. We even have examples of these things called automata, basically self-operating machines from ancient civilizations like Greece, Egypt, that kind of time frame.
Wow, so the seeds were planted way back then, even if they didn't quite look like the robots we picture today. So when did the word robot actually first appear?
That's an interesting one. It popped up in a 1920 play by this Czech playwright, Karel Oppek. The play was called RUR, stands for Rossum's Universal Robots.
Catchy.
And get this, the word itself comes from the Czech word robota, which basically means forced labor.
Wow, that adds a whole other layer to how we think about robots, huh? So speaking of early robots, what would you say is like the oldest known robot?
Well, for that, we got to go all the way back to the 13th century. This brilliant inventor named Al-Jazari, he created this, get this, a programmable humanoid robot, and it was designed to, get this, serve drinks at royal banquets.
A robot bartender from the 13th century. That's a party I wish I could have been at.
Pretty wild, huh?
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. When did robots really start to make their mark on the world, like in a big way?
Well, I'd say the 20th century was a real turning point, specifically 1961. That's when the Unimog, the world's first industrial robot, made its debut. It was put to work by General Motors. They used it to handle hot die-cast metal, which was super dangerous for human workers, obviously.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It's amazing to think that single invention kind of paved the way for the widespread use of robots in manufacturing today. It's a perfect example of how robots can take on those hazardous jobs and make the workplace way safer for everyone.
Exactly. And from that point on, robotics just exploded. There were so many advancements. And now today, you find robots in pretty much every industry you can think of.
Yeah, it's truly mind-boggling how versatile they've become. So let's talk about some of those applications, because I think it would surprise some people to know just how many different areas robots are making a difference in.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the most exciting areas has got to be healthcare. I mean, you have robots revolutionizing surgery. Systems like the Da Vinci surgical system, which allows surgeons to perform minimally invasive procedures with incredible precision.
It's incredible. And it's not just surgery, right? We're seeing robots used in all sorts of patient care. Like you have robotic prosthetics that are helping amputees regain mobility and independence. And then there's AI-powered diagnostic tools that can analyze medical images and data to help doctors make faster and more accurate diagnoses.
Absolutely. I mean, the potential of robotics in healthcare is just, I think it's limitless.
It's so cool. But their reach extends even beyond Earth.
All right. We're talking about space exploration.
Exactly. Robots are like our brave little explorers out there in the cosmos, venturing into places we humans can't even go yet.
It's true. The Mars rovers are the perfect example. Spirit, opportunity, and perseverance. Those incredible machines have been roaming around on Mars for years, collecting all sorts of data.
It just blows my mind. To think they're designed to withstand such harsh conditions, and the information they're gathering is invaluable.
Yeah, it's really reshaping our understanding of the universe.
It's incredible. So we have robots exploring the vastness of space, but they're also playing a critical role in more down-to-earth industries like manufacturing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's where we see the highest concentration of robots, right? They're automating tasks, boosting efficiency, and they're achieving levels of precision that humans just, couldn't match.
It's remarkable. It's like they're handling all the heavy lifting and streamlining those production lines like never before.
Exactly. Think about all the intricate work they do in factories, welding, assembling, packaging, all that stuff.
It's amazing. So robots are becoming more and more integrated into our lives, it seems. From factories to our homes, they're everywhere. But before we go any further, I think it's time for a little fun fact break.
Okay, I like it.
Did you know that South Korea has the highest robot density in the world? Like for every 10,000 workers, they have over 900 industrial robots.
Wow, that's a lot of robots.
It is. It really speaks to how advanced their technological landscape is.
All right, what other fun facts do you have up your sleeve? Okay, here's one that might surprise you. robots have actually played a really important role in disaster response. Like, for example, after the Fukushima nuclear disaster, they sent in robots called packbots to assess the damage and search for survivors in areas that were too dangerous for humans to enter.
That's incredible. I mean, it just shows how robots can be used in these really life-saving ways.
Yeah.
So we've talked about robots in manufacturing, healthcare space, even disaster zones. But I've been hearing a lot about this new field called soft robotics lately. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, yeah. Soft robotics is super cool. Basically, they're robots made from these flexible materials that can mimic, like, the adaptability of natural organisms.
So we're talking robots that can squeeze through tight spaces, adapt to different environments, and maybe even interact with humans more safely.
Exactly. There's a lot of potential in medicine, wearable devices, all sorts of things. Imagine robots assisting with surgeries or rehabilitation, all thanks to their soft, flexible design.
It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But before we get too carried away with the future, let's address some common questions about the present state of robotics. One that I hear a lot is about the role of AI. How is AI making robots smarter and more adaptable?
Well, you can think of AI as the brains behind the brawn, right? By incorporating AI algorithms, robots can learn from experience. They can adjust to changing environments, and they can even make decisions on their own, autonomously.
Wow, so they're not just following pre-programmed instructions anymore. They're actually learning, evolving, becoming more sophisticated.
Exactly. A good example is Boston Dynamics' robot, Spot. It uses AI to navigate really complex terrain, avoid obstacles, even open doors. It's a great example of how AI is pushing the boundaries of what robots can do.
It's incredible. So that brings up another question. How do robots actually see and interact with their surroundings?
Well, it all comes down to sensors. Robots have all sorts of sensors that let them perceive the world around them.
So like cameras, right?
Yeah, cameras are a big one. They provide visual input, but there's also LiDAR, which uses lasers to measure distances and create 3D maps of the environment. And then there's ultrasonic sensors that can detect objects, and accelerometers that sense movement and orientation.
Wow, so robots are gathering all this information from their surroundings and using it to navigate and make decisions.
Yeah, it's like giving them this multifaceted perception of the world.
It's amazing. This whole conversation is so fascinating. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of what robotics is all about. But before we get too deep into the future, I think it's worth talking about the career opportunities in this field, because someone has to design, build, and maintain all these incredible machines, right?
That's a great point. And the world of robotics offers a ton of different career paths for anyone interested in technology and innovation.
That's great to hear. So why don't we dive into those exciting possibilities after a short break? Stay with us.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of robotics.
It's amazing to think about how far we've come, from those ancient automatons to the cutting-edge robots we have today.
It really is remarkable. And as we continue exploring this field, I think it's important to highlight the career opportunities out there, because robotics is booming right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So for someone who's interested in, I don't know, designing and building robots, what kind of career paths should they be looking at?
Well, robotics engineer is the obvious one. It's a field that really combines creativity with technical expertise. Those are the people who are actually bringing these machines to life.
Yeah, that makes sense. And with AI becoming such a big part of robotics these days, I imagine software development skills are pretty important too.
Oh, absolutely. Software developers specializing in robotics are the ones who write the code that makes these robots move. And they develop the AI algorithms that allow them to learn and adapt.
It's like they're creating the brains of the operation.
Exactly. And then you have data scientists.
Oh, yeah. What do they do in robotics?
They're the ones who make sense of all the data that these robots are constantly generating. They analyze it, look for patterns, find ways to improve performance.
It sounds like a pretty data-intensive field.
It is, for sure, but it's
Yeah.
also super important because data is what drives a lot of the advancements we're seeing in robotics.
That makes sense. So we've got robotics engineers, software developers, data scientists, all playing a key role in this field. But what about the human element? I mean, at the end of the day, robots are meant to interact with us, right?
Right, and that's where human-robot interaction designers come in.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, they're the ones who bridge the gap between humans and robots. They design the interfaces, the systems that allow us to interact with these machines seamlessly.
That sounds like a fascinating job.
It is. It requires a deep understanding of both human psychology and, of course, technology.
It's amazing how interdisciplinary robotics is, really.
It is, for sure. It draws on expertise from so many different fields, which is part of what makes it such a unique and impactful area to work in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As robotics continues to evolve,
Yeah.
I imagine we'll see even more specialized roles emerge.
Oh, I have no doubt about it. You might have specialists in swarm robotics, where you have teams of robots working together to accomplish complex tasks, or experts in robot ethics, making sure these technologies are being developed and used responsibly.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's talk practicalities for a minute. What kind of salaries can people expect in these robotics careers?
Well, it varies depending on experience, location, the specific role, but overall, robotics jobs tend to pay pretty well.
That's good to hear. Can you give us some examples?
Sure. A robotics engineer, for example, could earn anywhere from like $85,000 to $120,000 a year.
That's a pretty solid salary.
Yeah. And it's not just engineers. Software developers in robotics can expect to earn in a similar range. And research scientists focusing on robotics and AI, they often earn even more.
That's great. It sounds like a really promising career path for anyone who's passionate about technology and, the future.
It definitely is. And what's exciting is that robotics is always evolving. So there's always something new to learn, new challenges to tackle.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
We talked about the history of robotics, the amazing applications in all sorts of industries, and we even touched on the career opportunities out there.
It's been quite a journey.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to acknowledge the bigger picture. The fact that while robots offer incredible potential, there are also some things we need to be mindful of.
Right. I mean, like any powerful technology, it's important to use it responsibly.
Exactly. We need to make sure robots are being used ethically and that they're ultimately benefiting society as a whole.
It's about finding that balance, between innovation and responsible development.
I agree. So as we come to the end of our exploration of robotics, what final thoughts would you like to leave our listeners with?
It's been awesome to see how far robotics has come and all the potential it holds for the future.
Yeah, it's incredible. From revolutionizing how industries work to helping us explore the unknown, it feels like robots are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And the advancements are happening so fast, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, it's a really dynamic field, which is part of what makes it so exciting, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what stood out to you the most during our conversation?
That's a tough one. I think for me, it's the sheer diversity of applications for robotics.
Yeah, I agree. We've seen robots being used in healthcare, space exploration, manufacturing, even disaster response.
It's amazing to think about all the different ways robots are already making a difference.
And it's not just about practical applications either, right? Robots also have this way of capturing our imagination and inspiring us to think big about what the future could hold.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, imagine a world where robots and humans are working side by side, augmenting our capabilities and helping us achieve things we never thought possible.
It's a pretty exciting vision of the future.
It is.
And speaking of the future, it's important to remember that robotics is a field that's constantly evolving.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
New discoveries are being made all the time.
Leading to even more innovative applications and possibilities.
So if you're feeling inspired to learn more about robotics, or maybe even considering a career in this field, I highly recommend checking out the LearnXYZ website at www.learnxyz.in.
They have a ton of great resources and information. It's a great place to start for anyone who wants to explore the world of robotics.
So as we conclude this deep dive into the world of robotics, I just want to say thank you for joining us. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. For more exciting deep dives into the world of knowledge,